11:59 on Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. Come to you live every day at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 4 Pacific for about an hour or 90 minutes each day. We do three. I shouldn't hit that button. We do 3 gun-related topics, different topics throughout the week. We run it live over on YouTube, and we're simulcasting it over at gunchannels.com. Let's see. We'll take the audio when it's all done. We'll post it as a podcast on iTunes, and there are 5 hosts. 2 of us are here today. We got Dano jumping in from Illinois. Thanks for joining.
Yep, glad to be here.
And then I'm down here in Arizona. Bob is driving, so I don't think he'll be jumping in today. Smeggy, I think, is also driving, so he won't be jumping in today. And we'll see Z out from Maui in about an hour or so when he's done with one of his 9 to 5s. So that's the show. We are in episode 295. Today we'll be talking about flamethrowers in our alternative gun topic section of the show. We'll be talking about the gun biz and gunsmithing schools for a bit. Then we wrap up the week. And of course we hit all the stuff we hit on a daily basis. Before we dig into the show though, we usually take a break right at the beginning like this, see if anything happened overnight that was worth talking about.
I don't have anything today. So other than I'm going to be digging into my Tokarev and removing the manual safety that was installed, but I mentioned that in yesterday's show. I haven't done that yet. Just simply it's on the list of things to do, but otherwise that's all I got.
Right on. Yeah, yesterday was Yankee show. Had that after our show yesterday, and then did the AK podcast. We do those on Thursdays. Night Strike and Z. Did you jump in last night? Must feel like
no.
I was.
No, I was not there last night.
And then George back east all jumped on, and it was a pretty decent show. And hopefully that show will continue to grow with the participation of others. It's not really like an AK. The AK podcast isn't designed for me to just sit there and talk for an hour or whatever. It's really a platform. So to appreciate the people that jump in and keep the show going, and the people that jump in with questions and stuff to give the show some direction. But this show does have a topic, so I get our schedule. So I guess we'll just dig into it.
Yep.
Want to do it in normal order, or do you want to shuffle it around a little bit?
Well, we'll shuffle where needed, or where appropriate.
Start out with flamethrowers then.
She's a flamethrower.
I don't know where this one came from. I guess when we were doing the scheduling show, somebody suggested it. Do you think they're talking about those little ones that you can buy now that somebody put on Kickstarter or something that look like I don't know, sort of like a coffee can with a pipe hanging out of it, and you can buy them for a lot of money?
Kind of like a Roman candle, basically.
Oh no, it's a tanks that are under some sort of pressure, and you fill them with some sort of a fluid. So it's a flamethrower, mechanical flamethrower, whatever you call that. But nothing like when I think of a flamethrower, I think of like a World War II or a Vietnamese,
right?
Well, a Vietnam era backpack that has basically napalm in it, right? Pressurized napalm,
right?
And sort of an igniter out at the end of the whatever you call the torch or the wand or thing, yep. Hose or nozzle, and then when you pull a button like a trigger, that thing streams pressurized napalm out in front of it like a fire hose, and then ignites it. So you give a little fuel to a horrible situation for whatever the hell's on the other side of that.
Yeah, that is a absolutely horrific way to die. I mean, there are some situations that are right up there with it, but that is definitely what I'll call my top 5. If I were to give the top 5 of ways I would never want to die, that would be definitely on that list.
Now, I'm not foolish enough to ever make a list like that, because then when your enemies would get the list and know exactly how to get you the worst way, so I'm not going to help them. But yeah, not fun. But I think they're also, I mean, I don't know anything about flamethrowers. I think they had them when I was in, but I don't know anything about them. Never met anybody that used them in real life or anything. But I would suspect they're for more than just killing people, because you have to be so close And it's such a dangerous thing to be carrying close. But yeah, just to like get rid of machines or like destroy their stuff. Like
deny your enemy a route of escape. You're not trying to kill them. You're just trying to get them, and they're not going to run into a fire. So you start a blaze going that they're not going to want to run through.
And since it's napalm, it's basically jellied gasoline, so it is its own fuel. It's not like if you sprayed, I don't know, brake cleaner on something. Unless the thing itself was flammable, the brake cleaner is going to vaporize. You know, it's going to.
Right. You could spray it on dry rocks, and the rocks will go afire.
With napalm, yeah, for a while, or with a flamethrower, yeah, you can spray just the straight rock and nothing else, and it'll catch fire for a long enough time that if somebody was being forced to go a direction, they ain't going that direction.
But it's a way to channelize and disrupt the enemy. You know, in addition to being a direct action fire, it's an indirect way to manipulate the enemy forces.
Anyway, so you have any interest in owning or procuring or playing and fiddling around with a flamethrower?
The danger factor rises up with what I call my personal pucker factor. Is they can be quite dangerous, and as much as it interests me, I'm not sure if I have the cojones necessarily to overcome that and actually enjoy it. I'd like to see a demonstration of it, don't get me wrong, but actually to wear the backpack, you know, the 2 tubes. You got the, you know, 1 tube with whatever diesel or whatever it contains, and the other tube that contains where some sort of gel or whatever. Then it mixes together at the point of the ignition. So yeah, I've definitely mixed feelings on wanting to. Is it cool? Absolutely. But again, it's on that, and I don't think my people that would have any interest in getting rid of me really care about my feelings and whether it's on my top 5 ways to die or not.
People that want to kill you that don't have much imagination.
Well,
anyway,
I just don't think they care about my feelings. Like, well, let's kill him this way because he feels horrified by it.
Well,
I just think they want me dead.
Have you ever seen one for sale anywhere?
No, I have not.
I've seen them in surplus stores before, but I never really wanted one, so I never paid too much attention to how much they cost. I think for a while there you could buy them with a big hole in the tank, so you wouldn't, I guess, go in your backyard and turn it up or turn it back together.
Oh, you mean ones that have been
militarized? Yeah, it would cut like a big hole in the back of one of the tanks.
Right.
Which I guess just having it on the wall is one thing, but
yeah, I mean, like for whether it be a bar or a gun store or a military surplus kind of shop, an Army Navy store, it would be cool as far as like decoration for the store sort of a thing.
Raphael said that Prepper Gun Shop has them, so they're up in North Dakota. I'm looking to see. Oh, there we go, flamethrowers. I think that's going to be the new ones, I'm guessing, because they have a whole section of their website called flamethrowers, right-handed and left-handed. What? Yeah, so these are things I was talking about, Daniel. Maybe if you look at one.
I'm gonna screen share them.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So they look just sort of like a home-built thing, or like a modernly built thing. They're definitely not, you know, tools of war or anything. Can you see them on my screen? Yep.
Trying to figure out, you know, do they have a picture of somebody standing there using it so you can get an idea how it's properly held? I mean, I see the hand guards they have there.
Well, it's sort of like
meant to be held at the weight.
Yeah, it's about the size of a chainsaw, a little bit smaller even. So they have a right-handed, left-handed model, I guess, depending on which side that handle's going to be on. They don't really show anybody holding it, but right here somebody's holding it.
Okay.
Thank you, Marshall. What do you know?
In the handle.
What do you know? He sneaks his way in here.
Questions like gunfire and harm myself.
Has he even using it? It was one of my videos. He didn't even touch the damn thing.
It's still a very simple tool. As you can see here, the flame source is provided by a small lighter here that's fed by a small butane canister that you attach right here. There is a power button right here.
They posted that on their website. I feel bad if that's the only video they have. It's not even shooting the thing.
Right. I would think they'd have like a demo.
Or diesel or a mixture of both.
Well, he probably lives in a normal area where you can't just shoot a flamethrower off in your front yard without somebody getting all pissed about it. I don't really think I could blow a flamethrower off very often around here, or somebody had a fit.
But yeah, if it's a business, you need to put money into promoting your business, and that means, you know, paying somebody to go out in some rural area and where it is safe to do so, and demonstrating it and photographing it.
They ain't giving them away. They're grand.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure a lot of that is just basic like liability insurance. Even though they want liability waivers, you know, from every customer, it's just a lawsuit away from being a used to be business.
Yeah, there's got to be something else in there, because that is not $1,000 worth of products, and it's not $1,000 worth of complicated arrangement or anything. It's probably $1,000 worth of anticipated legal fees defending the patent or something. Yeah,
as well as just startup money.
Fees.
You're not going to be selling them by the thousands.
No, that's true.
It's going to be a relatively low production sort of thing.
So what do you think? Would you buy one? Would you get one?
For $1,000, I'd rather get something else.
Well, let's say that somebody got one, they got their pleasure out of it, so they're selling it to you for like whatever, $100, something more, $60 even, something where you really didn't think about the price.
I might.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would. Like, say, I really don't have anywhere to shoot it around here. Every once in a while it rains, I could probably shoot it up in the rain. That doesn't seem all that appealing. And then
I mean, I'm sure I can't even buy it in my state because we don't even allow NFA items, let alone flamethrowers.
Oh, wasn't I screen?
So
was I screen sharing? You kicked out.
Yeah, I thought you kicked out on purpose.
Oh. All right, so then,
but then, you know, on the other end of flamethrowers, we have what we discussed. I think it was just yesterday, which was the Dragon's Breath.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, on the opposite end of flamethrowers, because that's how they promote them, as small scale flamethrowers. I'm doing this in air quotes, entertainment.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about having a flamethrower. It's got no point, probably, unless you're like burning ants or something, in which case it's probably holds its own potential. It looks like it has a bigger tank and stuff than some of the crap I've seen that the Forest Service would give us to like go do backfires and stuff. They were puny. This is probably overkill though. But anyway, for just taking that thing out and doing tasks, you know, burn it. Some people have property where they have shit that overgrows enough, like jungle or whatever, right? Where they just burn it down once in a while. That might do well for that. And then entertainment, you know, the 4th of July or something, I guess it's neat to be able to go out there and blow a bunch of flame up into the air. Maybe start a bonfire or something that way.
Yeah, and there is a comment on one of our listeners over on the YouTube side about Forgotten Weapons had a great video on them, and I did see that video, and that was on I want to say it was a Vietnam era flamethrower, which is not the same as the one G-Webs is currently showing, or showed a few minutes ago. That was the actual Vietnam era one.
Yeah, those would obviously be cooler, and those would be worth having just because of their coolness or whatever, just to have them on the wall or something. And one that works would be kind of neat.
Yeah, and its authenticity of, you know, that's how it was built to be made from the start, not to be built to be used as an entertainment device.
But then I guess I was saying you've been to places where they have big giant bonfires, like the size of a house even. I've been to bonfires that big.
Not that big, no. I mean, I've been to bonfires, but not giant ones.
Well, I guess whatever scale. But up north, there was places up in Wisconsin where they just, I guess, had too many trees, and they would set up giant bonfire size of houses every couple of weeks. So anyway, if you had a large bonfire of any size, I imagine it'd be fun to just shoot that thing into the bonfire, because that's relatively harmless, I imagine. Unless there's somebody sitting directly on the other side from you and you squirt it right through, and that could be horrible.
Right. There's a certain amount of liability, I suppose, that goes with that. You know, the basic rules of firearms, I think, would apply. Be aware of what's beyond your target.
No, Ian's is saying that it usually takes a 50-50 gas diesel flame, which I don't understand about that. And then he says it doesn't stick to material like real flamethrowers. So I don't know if there is certain ways you can mix that one, or if it's intentionally mixed to be not militarized, like we're talking about. But ours is gelatinized gasoline, which is basically like sterno, right, almost. So it's like you're pressurizing a bunch of liquid sterno and throwing that out there. It'll just sit there and burn for quite a while, actually.
Yeah, and you know, since it's sticky by nature, it sticks to whatever it lands on, and will continue to burn. Since it's not a liquid, it's not going to flash and then be gone.
Now, we're not going to say it because we're not in the Marines. But if Heavy was here, you would have said that, and then he would have said something else, and we'll just let people know what that was without actually saying it, because that's classy.
Okay.
All right, so then I think we're done with flamethrowers, unless you got something else to keep going with it.
That's as far as I can fan the flames from here.
Yep.
Like that. You know, everybody's in the audience saying, "Oh, that just Dano, he's such a funny guy."
You blew them all away. They're all like, "Wait a minute, what? Did that just happen?" And it did. So you can go back and replay it. On the classier of video playbacks, you'll have that little 10-second backwards button. The Amazon has that. Really like it. I wish that YouTube
But
had.
you know, on this show, you literally know, you have no idea what's going to happen or when.
That's why you have to listen. Now you knew that was coming because of what he said. So you did know exactly.
That's right, boys and girls. It's time for the tactical. What was that? That's better. Pop quiz of the day. I had a poof. My flame went out. Time for the tactical pop quiz of the day. So those of you over on YouTube, put your cursor down in the text box. Same for those of you over on Gun Channels. Go ahead and limber up your fingers. Mr. G. Webbs, have you seen the question? And more importantly, have you seen the answer?
Yep.
All right. Today's question was sent in by Angry American, so I want to send a thank you to Angry for sending that out there. And I will read the question twice. Are you ready, Mr. G. Webbs?
Yep.
All right. The question is, how much pressure can the 9x21 cartridge handle up to? How much pressure can the 9x21 cartridge handle up to?
You want this in PSIs?
Yes, PSI, please. We're Americans. It's more than a lot.
Not getting anything. It's too tough for everybody.
Maybe not. Oh, at least somebody's trying to answer.
34,100 from DF or from Robbie.
That would be correct.
And then we had 2,300, 9,000, 60,000 from YouTube, which are all wrong.
Robbie, your answer of 34,100 pounds per square inch is correct. So Robbie, you know what to do. But just in case for the others out there, our future winners, head on over to dailygunchannels.com/popquiz. Fill out the form. Make sure you put your first and second choice in there. And congratulations, you are today's tactical hotshot for today.
Dan was just taking that over so that those guys don't even get a chance to say it anymore.
Well, those guys aren't even here, so.
That's
but
what
if
I'm
they
saying.
were, I would let them do it because I'm that kind of a guy. I'd let them in on my fun.
So that was how much pressure can the 9x21 cartridge handle? So
Yes,
what is
the maximum?
Largo? Is that Largo?
That I do not know if that's Largo or not.
Okay. Imagine that's why they make it.
34,100 pounds per square inch.
All right, so that'll take us into gun biz. We're going to talk about gunsmithing schools and gunsmithing training. Before we do, we like to
not going to show off the patch panel.
We can do that.
You do that every day. It's part of your thing.
Yeah, but I try to sprinkle it on so that it's otherwise it's the same show every day since we do so much of this
I mean,
daily.
I do the intro for the pop quiz. You do the outro.
All right, so we send people over to win a patch off the patch panel, and there it is. It's on our website if you want to take a look at it anytime. Daily Gun Show or it's dailygunshow.com. And you can't buy nothing off it. The only way you can grab something off of there is to win the pop quiz or a tactical quiz or one of the answer ambushes or something like that from the show.
And if somebody wants to send us either a suggestion for the show or maybe some questions for the tactical pop quiz or anything else, how would they do that?
You mean our email?
Okay, you send an email to dailygunshow@gmail.com. I know you're out there wondering, gee, how would I do that? Smoke signals? I don't know if that would work.
They're saying
They seem to be a long way away.
Raphael said it's the IMI cartridge. So something for some Israeli gun, I guess.
Got me. That I do not know.
Yeah, so Killing Time was right, but way after they already answered it on the
yeah, the Largo was the 9x23. We were talking about the 9x21.
Okay. All right, so that'll take us into the gun biz section of the show. We're going to talk about gunsmithing schools and stuff, but before we do, we're going to head over, or we'd like to feature one of the members over at gunchannels.com. Each day, Gun Channels is a place we built a while back. It's a community. People that win the daily pop quizzes tend to be over there because for whatever reason, YouTube is much faster when it embeds a video than when it is just doing its own chat. Sorry about that, but that's, we didn't engineer it that way. That just happens to be the way it is. Anyway, Gun Channel is a place we built a while back, and in order to feature it every single day, let people know about it, we like to feature one of the members over there. This week, we're featuring, there was a theme to the members that we're featuring. Today, we're featuring Amit. And, stand looking at there. Oh, Amit, or Amit, I don't know how to say it well, is
Emmett
is one of the members
Emmett.
from Israel. All right, he's one of the members from Israel, and joins in on a fairly regular basis. And then, well, I think he had a couple of things happen. His schedule changed, the weather changed, and I think physically where he chats outside, it was just cold to do that. And then he also, I think, just had a kid or something. So had a couple of things go on, but he was he in the chat the other day? I think he was. So he was on one of the early shows. I don't remember if it was Early Watch or Good Morning Gun Channels, but one of the guys had him on for a little while, and he said hey. But yeah, for a long time he was a very regular member. He still chats with everybody over on Facebook. And again, we didn't really anticipate the international presence or how many people would be interested in something like that, but to our surprise, pleasant surprise, it's been a few of the members, and Amit was one of them. So I guess by now somebody's probably figured out the theme for the week of the members we've been highlighting.
Could be. It's Friday.
We'll let people try to figure that out, and then we'll go on to gunsmithing school. So it looks like you got some stuff already up on your screen there. I'll block on it.
I got. I put the URL on both the Gun Channels as well as the YouTube side, so y'all can check this out for yourself. But this is from study.com. This was a list of what when they researched it, the top top gunsmithing schools in the U.S. And just listing off a few of their list was Colorado School of Trades, Lenore Community College, Montgomery Community College, Murray State Community College, Piedmont Community, Pine Technical Community, and Trinidad State Junior College. And of course, we also have Sonora Desert Institute out there, which is not on this list. This list may be a little bit older, but I do find it interesting and encouraging that public junior colleges are offering this sort of education rather than just solely leaving it in the hands of private hands, that it's in both areas.
As you can
so
imagine,
I do find that positive.
I know quite a few people that have gone to Yavapai College.
Is that the one in Prescott?
Prescott, yep.
And what was involved in them getting to be that they're sheepskin, so to speak?
What was involved? I don't know. I know they all had to go there for 2 years. It's not like I don't think it's like an after school type or after work type of thing. I mean, you go there for 2 years doing it, from what I understand.
Right, because I know sometimes a gunsmithing
curriculum, you don't go there and get I'm a 1911 armor, or like I'm an AR-15. I think you go there and you learn how to like make high-end shotguns and how to fix old-timey guns and how to build a bolt action, and probably AR-15s and AKs on top of that. So I think it's not like you specialize in it. I think you just take their whole class or their whole thing.
So it's a generalist kind of education in guns.
All complete, yeah.
Because I know one of our Gun Channels members had mentioned that he had a gunsmithing. I don't know if it was a certificate or a degree or what, but he had mentioned that when he got done with school that there were a number of things that he really didn't have any education on. I think 1911 was one of them. That may have been specific to his particular place that he went. I don't know. But I think that's part of the thing that, you know, if you go to a school, that, you know, don't assume that you're going to get everything under the sun covered as far as what you want to do after you get this certificate or degree. If you have a certain thing that you want to do afterwards, you need to make sure that that's part of what you're going to get educated in. Don't assume.
This one of the descriptions of these classes says that the school offers short-term National Rifle Association gunsmithing courses in addition to the school's gunsmithing program. So that sounds like the NRA also has a mini version of a gunsmithing course. I don't remember that from being an NRA instructor.
Yeah, I remember hearing that they had something, but I had no idea as to how in depth or what it covered. But it's something that, you know,
average job placement is between 96 and 100%. That's something, I suppose, if you're a gunsmith, like a whatever accredited one or whatever you call it when you have a degree, then it's got to be fairly easy to find a job wherever. There's always going to be somebody in need of working on guns, at least in this country.
I know in my area that it's very difficult to find an actual gunsmith, and most of the time you end up having to either leave it with somebody who's going to ship it for you, or driving several hours to deliver it yourself to the place that actually does the work. It's not like, you know, in every other town there's a gunsmith.
Okay.
At least in my area, it's not like that at all.
So it sounds like there's this list on this page that you clicked on. This is somebody getting it from the "What should I study for a living?" It has nothing to do with guns. It's just it's a website on how to study or where to find schools, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's an evaluation of if you want to, you know, get into gunsmithing. Here's some schools to check out.
But it's from the school's point of view, is what I'm saying. It's not a gun thing that said here's some schools to check out. It's a thing that rakes schools, and that's all it does. So if you wanted to be a veterinarian or a auto mechanic, this is where you'd go to the same website and find schools that helped you in those areas. So since it has nothing to do with guns, I think it's kind of interesting, just because it's not, you know, influenced by the gun community. I don't think they're basically saying though that there's just a few schools that offer, or a few colleges, I guess, that offer gunsmithing education. This one in Prescott and the one in South Carolina offer degrees in it, and then all the other ones just have their, I don't say just, but they don't offer like an associate's in gunsmithing or whatever, I guess it is. Yeah, an associate in gunsmithing. Yeah, they offer in a certificate that you've completed their program, and their program might have prestige, but that's just different than having like an associate degree, which is, I guess, an accredited degree. So kind of interesting.
Yeah, and that's the part that why I was so surprised that there were so many junior colleges, or which are public institutions, that actually carried gunsmithing, because we often think of schools as so anti gun, and yet, you know, clearly the top listing of schools, they're all, at least on this list, public, where some of them could be private.
Well, you're talking Colorado, North Carolina, Oklahoma, and Minnesota. So except for Minnesota, which we're talking about sounded pretty anti-gun, or at least not gun-friendly, all these other states seem pretty gun-friendly, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, because the school is, or what, a community college is more towards career type of education as opposed to just education for the sake of knowing stuff.
Right. It's more than just okay. Now you're knowledgeable about art history. It's more towards, okay, now you can have this skill to do job X, or at least hopefully that's what it is. Because otherwise you're getting an education with no place to apply it.
Well, maybe I should go be a gunsmith. I got to go get a 9-to-5 somewhere. Go get a gunsmithing degree someplace.
Yeah. Now the one thing that, and I don't have access to the information, but it'd be interesting to find out, you know, how much these, you know, to completion it typically costs.
That's a good point. And then it does say on that page that you link to that you're going to require about $3,000 worth of tools, and that's something else that everybody I know that's gone to the one in Prescott has mentioned, is that was a significant investment, or a significant prerequisite, is to get all those tools that you need. Some of the guys had tools, but not necessarily the exact ones that you need for actual gunsmithing, which can be, I guess, smaller or more precise or more made for guns. But
right. But if that's going to be your career, those are tools that you're going to use beyond graduation. They're not just tools for the courses only.
I don't like having to buy stuff without knowing it, though, because what if you buy Harbor Freight or you buy Snap-on and it turns out those suck, and you should have bought Craftsman, or you should have bought Harbor Freight for some stuff, and you paid big money for the Craftsman version, because that can definitely be a thing. Well, like, oh, this tool you please sacrifice every time you use it. Why'd you buy a good one?
Yeah, I would hope that the school that you're going to would have vetted the source of the tool, and so that is not of concern.
But there's a question
I understand
from the YouTube side that's interesting too. How much do you expect to make? What do you think a gunsmith can make? Now, I imagine some of it is probably a level of their ability and their skill, I guess, and their artistic ability, right? So they don't screw stuff up. I mean, fixing something is one thing, but fixing it so it looks good, it's probably gets a premium. But is there some kind of tool out there to tell you what an expected salary might be?
Well, I know that there was a gunsmith that I dealt with in Oklahoma, and he wanted $75 an hour for however many hours it took to accomplish the job. And he would give an estimate, but it was merely that, an estimate, not a fixed quote, as far as to get the job done. Because there are things that happen that it may go a little longer or it may go a little shorter. But $75 an hour, of course, this also includes his overhead, not just, this doesn't just straight go to him. It's how much to pay to keep the shop open, the lights on, the tools that he buys, you know, all those sorts of things, insurance for the shop. And there's, as an example, for working 40 hours a week, that's 2,080 hours. That's $156,000 at $75 an hour. But that's assuming that every hour he works, he's getting paid for that project. And that's also includes his overhead for the business, the building, the tools, paying for an accountant to keep books, maybe somebody to help with the website, maybe somebody to do the customer service, to keep him doing his hands on the guns, because every hour he's not working on guns and is working the front door is an hour that he's not making $75 an hour. So it's,
over here,
although that may seem like a lot, it isn't once you consider overhead.
Jimmy James host of the Early Watch over on Gun Channels, posted a link to the Trinidad State University school. They have their own website, obviously. Anyway, down at the bottom of it, it says applicants per semester 70, accepted students 17. So it looks like there's quite a few people looking to get into that for the 17 slots that are there. On the main page of it, it starts out with their school at the junior college has a long tradition of excellent, but don't take our word for it, blah, blah, blah. Their affiliation with the NRA assures students that the program is high quality. For 9 weeks, the finest craftsmen and artists from gunsmithing world gather at Southern Colorado to offer hands-on courses to students from all over the nation and the world. Immerse yourself. So I guess you go there for 9 weeks and learn it. That's one semester, right?
Typical semester is 16 weeks.
Oh, so it's half a semester only.
So, but it also sounds like they're immersing you in. There's advantages and disadvantages to having that sort of education.
Well, it means you got to take time off, and I'm pretty sure that's from what people have explained the way it is in Prescott too. Is you go there, like you don't just drive there after work and do it,
right,
when you feel like it in your off time. Like you quit your job and you buy the tools and you go there, and for weeks, or I guess I thought it was months. I guess 9 weeks is 2.5 months. You're in school. You go to school every single day to learn more gunsmithing stuff.
Right, all day long. And the thing that the nice thing about immersion is that you're getting all that education in a relatively short time. The downside, at least for me, that I've always found about immersion is like a sponge on a per day basis. I can only soak up so much information and process it per day. And then after that, it tends to spill over the glass. And if it's cumulative type knowledge that I need for that next day, it's harder for me to keep up if I'm doing 8 hours of straight nonstop, hands-on lecture, and then the next day depends on what, and you're learning everything today. Is the moment you get behind in an immersive program can be very difficult to ever get caught back up.
Well, now according to this one I'm just digging around the Trinidad site, it says that they started in 1947 by P.O. Akeley. I don't know who that is, but anyway, 1947, and they've developed into a 2-year gunsmithing degree program. So that thing that you had must be old, because this one is also a degree.
Okay. Yeah, and it was only one person or one business's opinion on the top schools.
Oh, okay. That's you get an associate in applied science in gunsmithing. Then they also have a Brownells amateur firearms tech instructor certificate. You can get a gunsmithing fine art certificate, a gunsmithing tech certificate, and the NRA firearms safety instructor certificate. So is that what they're calling NRA instruction? Like, I don't know. NRA safety instructor? That's not really a gunsmithing thing.
Right.
It looks like if you are interested, the application deadline for the spring 2008 semester is September of 2017. So it looks like there's a little bit of competition to get into these things. Probably have to fight. You probably have to show up ahead of time and then fight the other people, some part of a combat, and then whoever.
Well,
gets to
I would
win.
assume that as an example, is they want to see, like, if you went, of course, I'm assuming that you have to graduate from high school to get in. That how did you take machining classes? If so, what kind of machining classes? And then how well did you do in those machining classes? That's just an example of the type of thing that they'd be looking for in a competitive program. Now, if it's not competitive, then those things don't quite matter so much, because they want to choose people who are more likely to succeed. And if you have that basic mechanical ability and have proven that you're able to use it, even on a basic level in high school, through machine shop, that shows, okay, you have some abilities there. You're more likely to succeed.
That's interesting. And maybe I wonder if there is, with 70 to 17, if there is some strategy, if there's some stuff some prerequisites that you would want to do.
Mm-hmm. Because I'm sure, just generally how well you did in high school is also part of it. I mean, you got the guy that got C's, then the guy that got B's, but the guy that got C's had a whole bunch of machining classes that he did well in, and the guy that got B's didn't take any machining classes and took art history and psychology, which is fine, but that's not what he's trying to do in gunsmithing school. He's doing something else. So even though he has B's, he may not be as highly rated as somebody with C's, but the right classes. It's a foundational learning. You know, it's just like taking a.
Tell us, do we see anything about how much it costs?
No.
To take these classes or to get one of these degrees? Okay. Then I don't know. Should we talk about the do it on your own time kind of ones, like the AGI DVDs and the what are they called? Like I forget what those other ones were called that had like a green bullseye that were sort of the low cost AGIs. And then now they're.
I'm not familiar with them, but if you have some information, go ahead.
The AGIs was basically the same thing. Well, it was the thing that you used to see on TV back when we were kids, and it would say, like a commercial would come on and go, like, you learn all these different things, and then there'd be like gunsmithing in there. Like they'd say all these boring ass jobs, and then they'd say gunsmithing at the end. Remember that one? And it would be like all kinds of trade schools you could learn on the. They would send you cassettes, or they would do
advertised on TV.
Yeah. So
yes.
It was one of those kind of things. Except I don't know if they specifically ever advertised, but I got the impression that's what it was. So whenever back in the day I started paying attention to them, they would sell a DVD maybe on how to build an AK, and that DVD might be 3 hours long or something because it was really boring and long. And it would have been them in like a classroom environment, like if you were at a shop class or like a home ec class, like where the guy's standing there and he has all the available tools. And then he just, does the job in front of you. So he was assembling the AK in this case, or maybe it was taking apart a Thompson or a 1911 or a Colt something or another. And they just do that on video. And then that's like a standalone thing, I guess you'd say. It's just like a video version of a user's manual or a tech manual. But then whenever you buy one of them at like a gun show or a gun shop or get one in the mail or something, it's going to come with all this paperwork, and that's where you probably had seen the picture where they show like some guy standing there with an apron and he's fiddling with a rifle, and he's got a drill or a mill probably next to him or a lathe or something, and then they show like the billions of DVDs that you would get in the class, and they say like includes the tools, and then I don't think they even tell you a price. It says like 1 million low payments at $15 or something, and then that was the one I was familiar with for the longest time. As being like an alternative to going somewhere for 2 years and actually taking a class or taking the degree.
Yeah, they always advertise it as with monthly installments of X.
Yeah, and they would probably send you a bill and then like another DVD each month, and then you'd do checkering, and then you'd do freaking screw and drivering, and then you would do filing or something. I don't know, whatever the hell you do as a gunsmith. Little pieces, and then all together it came out, and they would finally send you the final bill and then like a degree.
No,
so
I
knew
think
about
situations that might be work out well in is, let's say that you're not necessarily looking for another career, but it's an area that you would like to you are interested in and would like to know more about it and learn how to do certain things. I think that's an excellent way to pick up that ability.
Well, please, I think that back in the day, especially before the internet, and most of this stuff was like very early internet days, and then that came right out of the magazine days, so the back of magazine ads and stuff. And if you lived in the middle of nowhere, let's say you lived in Wyoming or Iowa or Minnesota or someplace where there's just you got no choice, then having that familiarization with stuff that where else are you going to get that kind of knowledge, right? So even if it didn't teach you the same way as if you were in a classroom with someone who's an expert giving you feedback and coaching you and showing you a bunch of stuff, and you having all the other students and their questions just to observe. But just having experienced some of that stuff, you've got to be better off than somebody who's just doesn't know anything. You know what I mean? When you would go up to a gun shop in Idaho or Wyoming or Minnesota or whatever, if their options are some guy who just is interested and willing, and then some guy who's interested and willing and then at least saw everything on video and has all the videos to go back and refer to. You know what I'm saying? You've got to be at least more appealing than somebody with no knowledge.
Right. I guess I was thinking in regards to, because the few gunsmiths I'm aware of tend to all work by themselves. They're not employed by somebody else. is that if you wanted to do the well, I'll do it as a side business sort of thing, that would also be a practical way to go about it, because you don't have to. You're gonna hire yourself.
That's a good point. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's most of the gunsmiths I know are the same way too. They are FFLs. They are businesses because they have to be by law or whatever, but they're not like in the back room of a gun shop anymore. Now they're their own person, and they have relationships with gun shops who either bring them or drop off guns.
And those other FFLs are bringing customers to you. Whether it's shipped directly, or you once a month you do the rounds and make a pickup at the local. You say, you got anything for me? I'll stop by next Wednesday.
So Colt is asking if those DVDs are on YouTube now. I'm sure they're not just on YouTube. They'd be pissed because they sell them. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they still sell them. I see them places, so they're selling them. And then, but having them private or something, or having them hosted themselves like Panteo does, I wouldn't be surprised if they have online streaming versions. In fact, I would be surprised if they didn't have online streaming versions by now. They weren't an idiot company. They knew what they were doing. Their production value was kind of laughable, but so is mine. So I don't give them any gruff. I mean, that's one of the reasons I decided to not spend a bunch of time and effort on production value. There's places like AGI that were very successful just offering info. It doesn't have to be the fanciest info or the most appealing as far as frills. Info is info.
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, I haven't paid attention to them in a while. And then, like I say, there was people that came up on their heels and basically just updated it, put a little bit different production in, not better, just different, so that you had an option. If you didn't like the way one guy droned on about gun related stuff, then you could listen to some other guy drone on about gun related stuff, like super nerdy, specific, detailed stuff. And then they're saying watch Larry Potterfield Midway vids. Is that like a bunch of how-to vids? I don't think I've seen those.
I'm not familiar with. Well, I've seen the Midway videos, various how-to things. I'm not sure what the guy's name is.
From Midway.
But they're very focused as far as, here's how to do one thing on one particular gun. So, I mean, which is good from a DIY perspective, but it's not broad enough necessarily. I mean, it may get you to fix one issue on your 1911, but it's not going to show you how to do a similar issue on a striker fired gun.
So as a gun owner, you don't own a Mark II or Mark III from Stupid Ruger?
The Ruger? No.
Have you ever owned one?
No. I've had no desire to own that sort of pistol.
Because of the stupid, complicated, unreasonable way it comes apart and goes back together?
Well, I've heard of that, as you mentioned it, but it just, it's a, my impression has always been, well, if you want to get into 22, precision target shooting, that's the type of platform you're looking for. And I've had zero interest in that sort of, way of enjoying firearms. I'm very happy out shooting at, steel, but I don't feel the need or the desire to go hole in a hole sort of shooting. If I can hit a 6-inch disc at, 45 feet with my pistol, I'm very happy. Whether there's 5 inches apart or 4 inches apart or an inch apart does not matter to me at all. It's just consistency. Can I hit 6-inch target after 6-inch target after 6-inch target? That matters to me. That I hit it every time, or nearly every time. But yeah, that Ruger put together, which is known to be extremely accurate, is also known to be extremely complicated when it comes to, now let's strip it down, to especially a detailed strip, and then try to put the thing back together. I've heard nothing but horror stories about that particular gun.
It's really just cleaning it. You can't get around it. It's just a horrible gun to have to come apart and go back together just to really clean it. And it's a 22, so they're finicky. You can't really let a 22 go too long without cleaning it. They'll just lock up. So anyway, yeah, they're horrible. And I just was going to say that some of that stuff, you don't need to own one to experience it, or even like need to have friends that own one. As long as you can go online and see that. I don't know, there's got to be something to that where I don't know where we were going before, but that's all I was saying, is that I think the videos can be useful. Well, I think you were saying those little snippets on specific videos,
Right.
like let's say a Thompson 1928 that comes to mind. It's got a specific situation in there because it kind of depends on brass to steel. Like there's a brass couple of pieces that are basically sacrificial. You know, they're designed to wear out, but that's how they overcame friction or something on that 1928 model. And who the hell, number one, is ever going to get a chance to fiddle with a, you know, $30,000 probably plus gun like that, and then get it to where we can take it apart and fiddle with those pieces. So for some of those things, they can be interesting, I guess. I'm trying to say they're entertainment, even though they're nerdy gun knowledge, because some of that stuff is the neat part about guns, is the weird little parts and gizmos. So something like that, Mark II's, and that horrible little thing, if they did a good video on that, that could satisfy your need to ever want to own one, or if you were debating whether to own one or not.
Right.
Now you have seen it. Now you know it's a little complicated quirk, and you can go on amongst your way, or maybe just rent one occasionally at the gun shop if you kind of like them but don't want to have to deal with one.
Right. And just speaking, you know, this is a little bit off topic, but it is on guns, of the Ruger Mark series, is I've heard, I don't know this for a fact, but the Mark V, which I believe is out, is supposed to be less of a pain in the butt than the previous versions. Have you heard anything in that regards?
No, that's what its whole point is, that they got rid of that stupid, ridiculous assembly. So now you just pull a trigger or something and the slide just comes right off like it should.
Right.
It's awesome. It's a real gun now. Yeah.
Yeah. Sean, Mr. Bonner is saying it's Mark 6.
It might be the 6. I don't pay attention. I literally like those guns. I've owned them, but because of that ridiculousness, I won't own them anymore. And that almost makes it appealing again. Plus cans. Cans make that gun super awesome.
Yeah, I have a 22 rifle, which every once in a while, about once a year, I take it out and do a little thinking. I enjoy it. It was super cheap, and I see no reason to sell it because I'm not going to get anything for it anyway. So I can enjoy it, and for, you know, being worth less than $100 anyway, and that's enough for me to enjoy it just once a year.
Well, and that's another thing that I think is something that, since we're talking about gunsmithing schools, I guess doing it for a career or doing it to become employed or a second job or something like that is one thing, but there's a certain amount of enjoyment you can get out of gunsmithing, that being able to just pull a chapter for something that you want to tackle. Let's say you got an old Ban era neutered AK without a threaded muzzle. So you want to learn how to thread the muzzle. It'd be nice to be able to find a DVD or two even from different sources that explain that, and have a pretty good idea what the job's going to be before you tackle it. And then you mentioned fiddling around with an old cheap rifle. I mean, I could see the appeal of being able to just buy something and then, just like a junker car, work it up.
Yeah.
Get it to where it's fun.
Yeah. I mean,
Tony's on the YouTube side now. We had talked about that SDI one, and he's got some experience with that. He said he audited several of the classes, but didn't do the entire degree, which makes sense. He works for a living, so he probably doesn't have time to do the whole thing. He says it's a good school, a little expensive, but good. So it's hard to say. I don't know if Tony's like actually compared it with other ones or just comparing it with life in general.
You see his next comment?
Yeah, it came with an A10 kit. I didn't realize they had aircraft.
Yeah, I'm like, that's crazy.
That's really good. I can see why that's expensive too, because I'm pretty sure an A10 is a costly aircraft.
I mean, I realize they do take off and land every day and hourly out in Tucson, but that's crazy.
I could just take an ATI, whatever, or a SDI class, and then just go on the base, be like, let me work on that one. Oh, an AR-10. Okay.
Oh, well, that's a whole totally different story.
At least that's a legal caliber to own the bullets for. They're not in Tennessee. I think they're in Arizona.
Yeah.
Scottsdale.
That's my understanding. The Warthog. I call it the zipper gun, because that sound just reminds me of somebody yanking on a zipper real fast. Zzz. But I digress.
All right, I think we've done a pretty good job of talking about gunsmithing schools. It got me thinking about it. I need to go find a 9 to 5, so maybe I should go be a gunsmith someplace or work for a gunsmith.
It's something to think about. So let's go ahead. I think we've put the frosting on this one and called it done.
Yep. So now we'll move into something else. I don't know. Do we do the wrap up or do something else?
Well, you can leave the wrap up for the end of the show, I guess. But,
so probably go do something else. Yeah, before we do, we'll try to break and remind people that we do have an online store now more than ever. Sales from the store are there to support what we're doing online. So we want to encourage everybody to. Oh, and today's Friday, so I'm doing a thing with Free Patch Friday. Forgot about that, so I'm glad we brought that up. I think that was kind of randomly in the schedule, but good time for me to talk about new promotions. So we want to get rid of some old inventory. So anytime you buy anything today on Fridays from the store, we'll throw in a free random patch. Or if you buy a bunch of stuff, we'll throw in multiple random patches, help reduce inventory and give you some incentive to buy. So I just dropped links. It's gearwebsites.com and mostly designs of our own, and some of them from like Moon Food or Autoloader over on Instagram has done some of the designs for us. So yeah, that's our commercial break. And what do you want to dig into?
I want to go ahead and take this opportunity that if you are watching or listening to this on YouTube right now, to please take a moment and subscribe to Daily Gun Show. I would appreciate it greatly. As we get our numbers up there, it will enable us to do some other things that we currently aren't available to do. So please take a moment and subscribe to Daily Gun Show on YouTube. So from there, I want to go to the gun shop.
Yep. So we're going to do Tim's gun shop from Military Arms Channel. He started a gun shop called Copper Custom Armament, I guess. And never actually asked him why he went with copper. So I don't know if that means something to him or if there was some reason for that, or if he's mentioned that in the video. Somebody let us know. Anyway, I've never been there, but do they have any pictures of the place? They were always posting pictures on Instagram. Maybe there's a link to Instagram over here. Nope, that's his RSS feed. How about Instagram? Nope, guess not. So anyway, they post a lot of pictures of the place. It seems like a pretty neat place. I don't know if anybody's visited it. You could let us know about it. But I don't know. They do a bunch of runs. I don't know if they do them specifically for the copper custom or not, but it seems like they have a lot of exclusive short runs from people, or have over the years. I guess I'm thinking the Krebs, but he's probably done it with other people as well. You know anything about the place?
No. Do you know what's the closest large city to it, like Indianapolis or near the Ohio or Illinois borders? Or
it looks like they're in Indianapolis. Or no, they're right there by Gary. Can you see on the screen?
Okay, I'm sorry. I was doing some work on our show notes.
So they're way closer to Gary than they are to anything else.
Oh yeah, that's 45 minutes once you cross the Indiana border.
I know a lot of places where you can go drinking in Gary.
Maybe an hour. Yeah, Gary's not the town that you want to stop for gas or anything. Go to the bathroom, cross your legs, and keep driving. And
then there's a giant hole over here somewhere that they collect all from Chicago and put it in.
There's a quarry, literally almost undercuts the interstate.
Right here somewhere, huh?
Yeah, that looks like about right. Yeah, I mean, it's literally, you're at the interstate, and then like 10 feet over, it goes like who knows how many hundreds of feet straight down.
So this is Valparaiso. There's a school there. Indiana school there. And then if you go in here, you see they're pretty big industrial buildings here. Let me get rid of this.
Yeah.
And then how can I get it to? No, it's not gonna let me. Weak. It's not gonna let me put the little yellow guy down. Anyway, it looks like a pretty cool shop though, and pretty big. I don't know if you can tell from this, but these things are huge buildings. Like those are big houses, and that's 5 times bigger. He's basically got cargo containers stacked up in there too high. So he's got like 2 cargo containers, a third one or fourth one, I forget, all kind of stacked up. Once you go inside of here, there's like rooms inside of it. Pretty neat. And now that I see it in relation to all the other stuff around it, I kind of figured it was on the outskirts of town. It's definitely not on the outskirts of town. It's like right in that little area there. Looks like pretty fancy little neighborhood and everything. So I'm guessing probably.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was in Valparaiso proper. I thought it was, again, in my mind, I had it just outside of town. You know, Valparaiso, although not a metropolitan area, is not like a little tiny or small, rural town either. It's a fairly substantial size.
What's the name of this school? Is it Indiana State?
Valparaiso University.
Oh, that's the name of it? Okay. But I've heard that before, so that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Big time school or whatever.
Yeah, right, it's so not a diploma mill.
See if anybody's been there. I don't sell the FU media. Whenever I first came up with I'm just going to answer a question, the narrowcast question that came up about the store. Whenever I first came up with that FU media patch design, I asked Artisan Tony actually about it, and he agreed with me that it doesn't necessarily kind of thing I need to sell, but I do like it, and I think it's kind of a FU to the YouTube and the Facebook of the world. So I basically just include it whenever there's a $25 or more order. So it's not something you can buy. And plus, I don't know if I would get sued for using their copyrights or whatever, or their logos. So even though I'm not necessarily using their logos, I don't sell it anyway. And I don't really like having it up on the store. So it's one of those things you can get if you purchase $25 or more. And then there's people I've just given them to that I've met or whatever. Anyway, that's a little story time for the FU media patch. I don't know if I've talked about that on this show before. Tony says he's bought some military surplus magazines from him. And then Clay is saying that Dano needs to drive down there. How far would that be from you? About 2.5 hours?
Well, it would take me easily 3 hours to get to the Illinois-Indiana line, and then another hour beyond that.
Wow. And or like if you went you'd have to go during business hours, so you'd have to go like either super early in the morning or something.
Yeah, and so it would probably take me longer than that because of rush hour traffic, which around Chicago is a real thing.
Well, maybe we can figure out a way for Dano's probably the most realistic one to be able to get out there, unless Smeggy happens to be nearer there for some reason. He goes to Indiana, I guess, once in a while. Actually, I don't know. We didn't look at how far.
He just got back from there a couple of weeks ago.
Now, Smeggy had to have to go all the way across to all of Michigan to be able to get over there, where Dano's like right there.
Oh, I'm further. See where Davenport is? Go north of, yeah.
I thought you were by Rockford, so you're over here more. So
yeah,
all right.
Southwest of it.
Okay, that'd actually be pretty tough. But you and Smeggy could both go there, meet up in the middle, do a live show from there, run all around and knock stuff over, and then leave.
We could, yeah. If it was straight driving, no traffic, yeah, it'd be a 4-hour drive and I could be there. But I'm driving straight into hell's pit of car traffic.
Well, now that I'm looking at this map, I don't agree with you at all, because now you can go down to this 80 and just drive 80 and bypass it all. You're not even near Chicago. Barely for a little bit down here, maybe a little bit.
You see how 90 slopes down in addition to going towards the lake?
You mean
the straight is
from Joliet? Just go across right there.
Yeah, because then I got to come back up to catch the other one. But that's a micro interest to our audience, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right. So that'll take us.
But if you want, I made an administrational executive decision and selected the gun of the day.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, that's probably
if you are so interested in moving along. And that is the Tokarev M57. Now, it was based off if you can click on my picture there, my little thumbnail there, it was based off the Russian Tokarev. And I'm trying to find a good example of it.
Is that a 7.62 by 25? Is that what that one shoots?
Yes, it is. And let's see this one right here. Although that's a new production. This one right here. That almost looks like mine. Yep.
So does that mean
This
it's
one
a
right
Yugo?
here.
Or, okay.
This is the Yugoslavian version of the Russian Tokarev, which was intentionally made different. And if you're saying that, gee, that barrel lockup system looks incredibly familiar, that's because it is. It is the John Browning design barrel and lockup system, as well as the barrel bushing there. It does have one nice thing about that recoil spring is it is captured, as well as it has a joint in the middle of it, making it a lot easier to get in and out for disassembly. The fire control group does come completely out of the pistol in one piece. So it's for field stripping and cleaning, getting rid of cosmoline. It makes it a whole lot easier when you have to do that first time detailed decosmolining type procedure. And you'll see on that particular model that there's a manual safety. Now, the Tokarevs never had manual safeties when they were in Yugoslavia, let alone when they were in Russia or the other countries that had Tokarevs. They were an aftermarket thing. And the one that you're seeing in that picture, as well as the one on my gun, was put together by a third party. My understanding is that it was required for import into this country, although I don't necessarily know why. But it was put on by a third party.
Because of the 1968 Act.
It was not designed nor installed by Zastava, which is the sole producer of the Yugoslavian M57. Therefore, it does not have the same quality of manufacture as the rest of the pistol. It is cobbled together by some third-grade backyard wannabe machinist, gunsmith, and is a very poor design, is a very poor quality, and I've had nothing but troubles with it as far as it interfering with the functionality of the gun. Gun works perfectly wonderful without that manual safety. But I've had nothing but troubles with it because of the manual safety, because it is, the safety in that gun is going to be different from the next gun, is going to be different from the gun after that, because each one was literally ground to the individual gun as to what they thought would work. Unlike the barrel, which you could take out of this Tokarev, we're looking at a picture, it put it in another Tokarev that's Yugoslavian, M57, and it would work just fine. That's not the case with that third-rate manual safety.
What are you filling the hole in the frames with?
I haven't gotten to that point yet, so I will report back when I have more details. Now, I did shoot it, shot several magazines worth of ammunition out of it, but I had to hold the manual safety down with my other thumb to do it. But it was actually very light shooting for what I had in my mind expected, because you hear about the high speed of the round, because like in the surplus Bulgarian ammunition, you hear of speeds just under 2,000 feet per second. And it is an 85 to 90 grain bullet, depending on which one you get. Now, I have some PPU ammunition, which is a much lighter load. So it's probably shooting more around 1,500 feet per second. But it is a very light shooting gun.
That slide is huge.
Oh, yes. And the fact that it's all steel.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why it should be a light shooting gun, is because that slide is huge and it has to move that back and forth. Well, at least back.
Yes. But I think once I fix the slide issue, it's going to be perfectly fine. And I don't anticipate really any issues other than the looks of it, which I'll have to find a workaround, because I don't want sand or mud and stuff like that getting into the holes. But yeah, even the grips themselves, you see how it kind of fits behind the grip panel right there? They took a grinder to the back of the plastic and just ground a slot out so it's fit just behind it. And it just looks, everywhere that you can't see, it looks like it's a homemade job. The way they modified the grip, the safety itself, it just very.
So speaking of homemade or homeschooled gunsmithing, Squibb is saying don't do it. Have you consulted Squibb on this?
I not with this newest part. No, I have not. And hopefully I'll have a chance to talk to him in a separate chat to go over some of the details and bounce some ideas off of him. So, but the gun for today is the Tokarev Yugoslavian M57.
Nice.
So I can tell you about this is obligatory back in the day story. You used to be able to buy these things for like $65 or something. And yeah, it would have been neat to have bought a bunch of them, I guess. I never paid attention to them, know there was a bunch of different countries. But that would have been lucrative too. Do you think they're still lucrative at what, $300 a piece that they're charging now?
Mine was $235, and I paid a $10 extra for hand sort. And they also had one for where you paid the same price, but it got 2 magazines instead of 1, but it said good condition rather than very good condition. And it's like when you're buying old stuff, condition is everything. And you know what one person's idea of very good is different than another person's definition of good. So for $10, I'll pay the extra.
Sub 300, even with fees and shipping and stuff. And probably, do you think this is a $500 gun in a few years?
I don't know, because I don't know of the numbers that are out there, either have yet to be imported or the numbers that are already here in the U.S. But I really like the trigger too. I mean, for what I expected, it seems like a really nice trigger. And it has, you know, traditional magazine release. Mine actually pops, you know, drops out of the mag well, which is nice, rather than just unlocking it, then you have to pull it out.
Z, are you buying one of these?
I'm not saying I wouldn't like one. I kind of would.
Somebody puts one in front of you for $300. You buying it?
Do I live in the state that I live in now?
Oh, you can't have them there?
No, I can, but with the Wrap Back program, now we have to re-register and re-fingerprint and re-mug shot and everything like that. So I have not bought anything new since that law came into effect in December. So I'm not sure that this gun would get me to go and do all of that. If I lived in another state where that was not an issue, yes, $300 or under, like you said, for $230 plus a transfer fee. Heck yeah. No, here's the thing that I don't know. I should. What's the availability of the ammo? What's that like?
Be none.
I went online and found several sources of PPU selling the Tokarev ammunition for 31 cents a round.
Yeah, I probably would. Did Bulgaria make one?
You can get the surplus stuff, but now that tends to come with usually a premium cost rather than a discount, and it is steel rather than brass. And for those people that are interested in reloading, it's all about the brass. So in case they do discontinue it, you've got brass to reload it.
So that's the Yugo one. There's a Russian one, a Czech one. Is there
Polish?
Is there
Romanian?
According to the Wikipedia, there's a Chinese, Hungarian, North Korean, Pakistan, Poland, Romania, Vietnam, and Yugoslavia.
Yep.
Damn, no Bulgarian. Yeah, I'd probably still want one. I just I'm interested with the 7.62 round that it shoots as well. That's something a little bit different. Somebody said 9mm. Well, it's sort of 9mm, but it's not. It's like 9mm plus. But for like shooting at the range or something, yeah, I think that'd be fun. Tony's telling me out there that he wouldn't exactly call it light shooting. Now, never having shot one.
Yeah, and that's probably personal experience as far as, you know, kind of like, you know, what's the difference between good condition and very good condition? Well, it's the same sort of thing. It's personal. You know, what I consider to be light shooting may be different than what other people consider to be light shooting.
Well, in looking at it also, he also said something about slide bite, and I can see, because that's not exactly, what do you call it? The most pronounced, what's that thing called? Come on.
Beaver tail?
Beaver tail, thank you.
Yeah, the issue, and I think I know what you're referring to, is on some models, and it's not on mine, and this was issue with the consistency from country to country as well as within a country of the position of the hammer. It would come back further on certain production runs than it would on others. It's not so much that there's not enough beaver tail as it was the position of the hammer would be positioned a little bit too low, therefore causing it to come a little bit further back and actually contact your skin that way. In fact, I've seen a couple videos on correcting it. What they did is they polished / ground down some of the ridges on the back side of the hammer. So when it did come back, it would hit you. If it touched you at all, it would be with the flat surface rather than those knurls or whatever it is.
All right. Yeah. If I had the money laying around, I probably would go for it.
They seem kind of clunky. They're like their version of the 1911, I guess.
Or their version of the 1903 is more like what I would rather think about it. Because the 1903 is not as technologically advanced as the 1911, and it's shooting a similar sized round. It has a somewhat similar shape to the 1903.
It's not a blowback.
Which is fine.
Or I'm sorry, not a blowback. Wasn't the 1903 the Striker Fire Colt?
I thought the 1903 had a hammer.
Well, it says the Tokarov's a ripoff of the.
Yeah, it's a ripoff of one of the Browning designs. I'm just not sure which one.
Yeah, they just said it here somewhere. Browning FN model 1903. Yeah. Like,
not bad for a kid with a public education, huh?
There you go.
All right, so that was the gun today.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what they are. So,
and might I add, good job, Dano, at being well prepared for the gun of the day.
You don't normally have to buy the gun in order to recommend it for gun of the day. So that was really fun.
Unfortunately, I didn't quite realize that one of our hosts hadn't done his due diligence until about 15 minutes ago, and then I had to hurry up. So took care of that.
It's all right. He's hiding in shame. He's not even here. We just wish him well.
I'm want to wish you guys good rest of the show, and have a good day.
Right on.
All right, you too.
All right, so maybe Dano's heading over to Copper Custom. We don't know. So let's see. We're going to talk about the movie of the day.
Sounds good.
So Force 10 from Navarone. I didn't watch it because it turned out the link that we had from YouTube was dead or got killed. So it doesn't really show the movie. Anyway, went on looked at it on the thing though, and it looks like it was 17 years after the first movie, and there's two characters from the first movie that the characters are in the second movie. It's different actors because it was so much later in time.
Yep.
But it does sort of relate to the first movie, although the first movie was about an action, like not an actual documentary, but based on true events, like a sort of a cinema whatever, like version of an operation in Italy or something. So
Italy, Greece or Crete or something over that way.
Somewhere in the Mediterranean. And then this would be like one of the guys from that operation went missing, and these two guys go to find him, and that's what Force 10 is. But it has Harrison Ford in it. So
right, and it's got Action Jackson, I think. It's got Jaws in it. It's got Barbara Bach. It's got Quint from Jaws in it. Like, it's got a lot of people you're going to recognize. But yeah, it was way after the other movie came out. Some people kind of poo-poo it a little bit because they thought it to be a money grab, so to speak, and or a sequel that didn't need to be made, or it does, like you just said, like all the things that you just said. Like, a lot of people don't like it specifically because of a few of those things. It's like they're literally counting on that word Navarone to grab you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it really is like they're saying that they were from there. But it's basically like a Dirty Dozen type of movie. A group of people.
And that is closer to what it is, because I never. Oh, he was talking about Privy Partisan earlier, right? For ammo. This movie helped me understand what the partisans were during that time. How sometimes they were with us and sometimes they weren't with us, and sometimes they were with us until they weren't with us. That was one of those little twists of history that you don't always hear about in class, or if you did hear about it in history class, maybe you didn't really get how it worked when you're reading it in a book and maybe talking about it in class, but you see it in the movie and you definitely have you kind of have a better view of it. And again, that wasn't Jaws in it? Well, he wasn't. Oh, yeah, Jaws was in it. Okay.
But he was dubbed. Somebody else spoke for him.
Yes, I think so.
He was saying it was a good movie, so he must have seen it recently.
Oh, I think it's a good movie anyway. And it was one of those ones where, it's okay. So it's a World War II movie, right? It is a commando movie, joint services between the U.S. and Great Britain. They're going over to that area where, they're probably, I don't remember if they were trying to get out through Greece or Yugoslavia or where it was that they were trying to get back out through. It was all about a long walk at one point after they did what the job was, which was, spoilers, it is from 1978. I think they were supposed to blow up a dam, I think was the whole thing, other than find the dude. But I don't know. Some have called it a bad movie. I personally didn't think it was a bad movie.
Well, it was a bad, what do they call it? Sequel.
Well, okay, so there you go. Like, it's one of those ones where if they didn't call it Force 10 from Navarone and they just called it Han Solo in World War II or something, it would still be as good of a movie as it is. It's just they wouldn't have been trying to cash in on that other stuff, which is kind of why you wag your finger at it a little bit.
Yeah, and I can't imagine Guns Navarone being such a big movie that they were really capitalizing much on it or getting much on it.
Oh, no, Guns Navarone was huge. I think it won Oscars for both movie and some of the actors. I mean, Guns Navarone was definitely a big movie. And that was like, what, 68 or something like that? 68, 7. No, probably not even. Early 60s, I bet. Because if this one came out in 78 and you said 16 or 17 years later, that's got to be like 61 or 62 for the original. Yes, there you go, Diecaster. Thank you. 2 thumbs up. Yes, blow up a dam in order to knock out a bridge. That's what it was. Okay.
Also, back then, it wasn't like there was a shit ton of movies between 60 and 70. At least in that type of movie. So maybe there was a bigger following and more people were pissed.
Well, and again, that it being so much later, everybody was just like, you're just trying to make $1 or whatever, or not even trying to make $1. You're trying to take my money. So yeah, but I came along watching it. Like, I didn't see it in 78 or whatever. It was one of those ones where I saw it in the 80s or something like that on Saturday afternoon or something to that effect. And it had, like I said, it had Han Solo or Indiana Jones in it. It had Action Jackson in it. It had Jaws. It had all these people that I had seen in other movies, right, growing up. So it was just one of those things that's like, oh, hey, I recognize all these guys. And so to me, it was a good movie. Even though everybody else told me it wasn't so great. I liked it. I definitely gave it 2 thumbs up, but especially because of the models that they used for the dam and the bridge. Like, it looked cool when they did that.
All right, well, so we're both giving it. I'm not only going to give it 1 thumbs up because I don't remember it that well.
That's totally cool. I'll give it a, like I said about the thumbs or whatever, but I suggest if people haven't seen it out there, watch Guns and Navarone and then watch Force 10 from Navarone and make your own decision on it. But I find them both to be enjoyable to watch because, like in the first one, like Anthony Quinn is an ass kicker in that one, and then in this other one, there's going to be a couple of there's more than a few twists and surprises in Force 10 from Navarone. So definitely. What was the alternate gun topic today, my friend?
Today we had talked about flamethrowers, throwing flames out of a device.
Wow. Okay. That was probably pretty cool.
Yeah, it was okay. All right, so I think with that, we try to talk about a movie every day that might make you think about, or one that you might not have seen in a while, or one that you would recommend to a youngin' to get a good, well-rounded education on guns and whatnot. So we have 4 for next week. We're missing our 5th one, so we definitely are in need of gun movies. So if you'd like to make a list, just jot it down and open up an email, address it to us, say there's a list of movies, and then keep it around for a day or two, thinking up some movies, send them to us. We appreciate it. We'll add them to the list, and that way we can recommend them to people and remind people about them. Next week, though, even though we only have 4, we're going to be talking about The Wild Bunch, which we talked about a few times. It's definitely worth watching. It's one of the pivotal movies of all time. Then you got The Matrix, Serenity, and The Sea Wolves. So that one must have come in recently. So
I just put that in not too long ago.
Okay. What is that? What's a Sea Wolf?
It's another one of those almost like British Commando type of movies from back in the day.
So Navy, though, not like submarines or something else?
If I remember right, it's like they got to train the commandos to be able to take over a boat for some reason. And I don't remember what the reason was. It a sub? Okay. Yeah, because it was all about they had to like get aboard and take over some shit. And it was just one of those where, remember in the movie Delta Force when you got to see them like doing the training for the planes and stuff like that for the plane? They kind of do a little bit of that, I thought, if I remember correctly, in the Sea Wolves, but for boats, for vessels.
Right on.
It's another older one.
I think with that, we'll remind everybody that there was no heavy show this week. He doesn't really care about his audience, so he didn't feel like having a show.
I think he just got done traveling, though, right?
Yeah, he was too busy having secret meetings with Jimmy here in Arizona, not telling anybody else about it. So he said,
all right, you know what? We're gonna type that one in right now for Clay.
What's that?
The Eiger sanction. We'll put that in for the 5th one, Clay.
Is there a lot of guns? A lot of mountain climbing.
Not a lot of guns in that one. Not a lot, but a very good movie.
Yeah, it's all right. It's Eastwood.
I was gonna say I think there's at least 2 that I can think of.
Let's see. So we were talking about Heavy not having a show, doesn't respect his audience, doesn't appreciate him. He just does a show, hit or miss, whenever he feels like it. He's not doing a show this week, though. I imagine he'll be back in 2 weeks. So he doesn't do a show on the alternate week from Yankees either. So, yeah, just I don't know what's going on with that guy. Shame. Just real shame to see it. But anyway, he did have a show the other day, like an extra show. So maybe he was making up for it. Maybe he felt bad that he knew he was going to be neglecting his audience. Then we've got Edge of the Week, who's been consistently running the show on Fridays for a long time now. He'll be on later. We don't have anything really going on Saturdays. Definitely have a hole in the schedule. If anybody wants to do something on Saturdays, you pretty much have the audience to yourself. So you can make some big, long, multi-hour extravaganza type show. A lot of potential there. Otherwise, Matt does a show on Sunday mornings. Yankee does a show in the afternoons on Sunday where they just sit there and take questions from their audiences. Looks like people dig that a lot. And then Monday, we'll be back for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday as the early watch, where Jimmy James does a long format show over here on Gun Channels. That'll be happening Monday during the day. And then I imagine we'll be back here on Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific, for another episode of The Daily Show. Daily Gun Show, where we'll be on episode 296.
How's that make you feel? That should make you feel good, I guess, is what I'm implying.
I don't know. It'd be more of an accomplishment, I guess, if I don't know. It does seem like we've been doing it for a while.
It does.
It's hard to gauge success. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely fun to do. That's for damn sure. But anyway, it's Friday, so let's leave it on a positive note. Bob, I'm not sure if he's going to hang out in Tucson for a week or not. Otherwise, he's heading down here. And if he is around for a week, potentially we'll have him around for all next week. Smeggy is jumping all around doing all kinds of jet setting, so he won't be around very much, but he'll have all kinds of stories when he's done, I'm sure. And, well, got Matt's show and other things. There'll probably be quite a bit of coverage happening next week because of the NRA show.
And once again, do we know how many? Did we ever have a chat about with the Gun Channels members that are actually going just to coordinate anything, or is it just going to be like an assault? Everybody's coming in from a different direction. They'll meet in the middle.
About and attending an event like that really lends itself to getting together with people. It's chaos because of the number of people, and then everybody has their own things to do that they want to see, perhaps, or whatever. And then the conversations and that kind of thing just happens. There's no way to plan that, so it's not like you can say real effectively, like, let's all get together at 5 p.m. for this or that.
I gotcha. Well, I do look forward to hearing some stories after the fact then. I'm sure. Let's see. We got anything else for today?
No. I think we're actually, we're right on the 90-minute-ish time.
Mm-hmm.
Went kind of fast. So, yeah, if anybody has anything that we should address, I guess we didn't do the weekly wrap-up. We can do that.
If you like, we can do that.
So we usually take a look. The idea is to take a look back at what we talked about this week in case you're only listening to the one show. Ideally, I'd really like to turn this into a newsletter so that this becomes a audio or visual, whatever, multimedia look back at the week on gun channels, since there are people that contribute a lot of stuff in different ways to gun channels, either by posting stuff at the 24-hour gun show or asking questions in the Q&A segment, maybe putting things on their own channels, videos that they posted. Rick's been doing a series of videos. New people have jumped on to deal with the AK-47 buyer's guide. So those people are adding, pictures and stuff. Talking and typing at the same time. So anyway, I really would like to make this segment of the show where we go back and look at that. It doesn't lend itself to doing it on air because there's just too much other stuff and we end up chatting and getting off topic. So it's the kind of thing that really could be compiled off air and then just summarize it on air like this, and then have it all, take the notes and turn it into a newsletter and send it. Because I would really think that would take the show to the next level where it's actually useful for people as a summary of what's going on with gun channels. It would get the people that are posting stuff on gun channels with a reason to get a message out, like Tac Daddy's over there talking about one of his videos that he posted. It gets people that permanent coverage of, or I guess additional coverage of whatever it is efforts they're doing. So I really would like to get it to that, but it's just not panning out to do that. That would take just more time to set up. But anyway, that would be what we would do during this segment. Instead, we're just going to take a look back and quickly talk about what we talked about this week. So we were features of members of gun channels that were international. It was pretty easy to figure out, I think. We had Flaff, Marvin, J Blue, and then Amit. I don't know how to say these people's names. And then we talked about success and how to learn from it on our Monday Gun Channels University segment of the show. And then
that's a big philosophy right there too. That's a pretty big subject to attack. For
sure, because you got to know when you're winning and then what to take from that. We also showed Tac's video. Tac Daddy, who just mentioned a minute ago, did a video over the last weekend where he would kind of turn the camera on as he was editing. It's pretty interesting to see his process and the software and that kind of thing. Then let's see, we talked about the odd 9mm cartridges on Monday, and I know we did get some people throughout the week on an early show, the early shows that are on before us. We're mentioning some of the stuff we missed, so we didn't hit them all. So I'm sure we could go back and talk about 9mm again. We did some gun shops this week from people that mailed, from mostly Squib, who had mailed them in. It was Squib, right? Not, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Squib. Anyway, he had sent
yes, it was Squib.
Gun shops that he had visited. We also did the one up in Colorado, Elite Firearms from the Wheel Lake Shooting Show, and then today we did the one from Copper Custom from Military Arms Channel. So we sort of used that as a bit of a two themes this week. Let's see, on Tuesday or on Wednesday, I guess. No, on Tuesday, we talked about the recent court decisions in, was that Maryland, that ARs weren't covered by the Second Amendment.
Well, I think it was the Fourth Circuit, but it was stemming from a case from Maryland, yes, I believe.
Okay. And we talked about Minnesota. We got that one pretty wrong, so we got some people to correct us and give us some edits in the emails or in the comments to the video, actually. We talked about wearing a backup gun on your leg, and I think we pretty much talked about that.
Gee, where did you fall on that, by the way?
I'm okay with a backup gun on the leg. I think it's handy, but I'm all about backup guns. If you're not, pro at backup gun, then
yeah, it's a non-issue for you. But I have a question. You wear boots, right? So that means wouldn't you would now, if I'm understanding correctly, you would just have to wear it higher then, correct?
Yeah, I mean, they kind of jam into your boot depending on how you wear your boots. I mean, I wear boots because I like the ankle support, not because I need them for a fashion statement. I don't tuck my pants into them, or they don't need to lace up all the way to the top.
Right.
You can have them kind of in your boots a little bit, but yeah, I mean, that's a consideration. And then I think that the boot will provide more support too, right, than just having them flop around.
Absolutely, it'll be less likely to flip flop.
And then, of course, yeah, if you're wearing flip-flops or something where you don't even have socks on, that's a whole nother story, because socks are part of the system that keeps it from sliding down into your ankle all the time. It keeps it up on your calf or whatever. Tony's saying backup guns are for bad cops. So that was the backup gun on the leg. Then we were on Wednesday, I think. Oh, and then we had the hashtag showdown on Tuesday. That was the other segment on Tuesday.
Yes, we did. Which that seems to be gaining a little bit of steam, don't you think? I think, anyway. I think it's gaining a little bit of steam. And if you don't know what we're talking about out there, audience, we're talking about the hashtag showdown. It's every Tuesday. Basically, if you are on Instagram and you utilize the hashtag Daily Gun Show, we pretty much go through them on air, and you will be judged before all of your peers. Just saying. It's a thing. And that brings a close to Tuesday.
Sorry, I'm trying to text with Bob at the same time we're talking here, and it ain't doing good. So,
no worries, man.
He's just getting into town right now. And that was Wednesday. We talked about who should wearing a CCW camera, and the book Animal Farm, and then we had the tactical quiz. I think we did lyrics again this time.
Where did you guys fall on the camera stuff? I have
I like it, and then other people hate it. I'm against it myself.
Now, okay, I'm gonna pose the question then, and I'm sure you guys already addressed all of this stuff. Now, as a potential cover your own butt type of thing, I see the potential for good, but I also see, like, anytime that they start trying to make stuff mandatory, or if you want to be able to have a CCW, you have to do this or you have to do that. Like, I don't like none of that stuff. I don't like none of that stuff at all. Was there any particular reason you didn't like it, or just overall not a good idea?
Yeah, I don't see any benefit to it at all. So I see it as just more dependence on something, one way input. I think it would be the end of witnesses and people can manipulate cameras.
Truly, I could see it though that it could also help though when the witness is lying or something to that effect, or who drew first, and again, it seems like it's one of those things where it could be on either side of the fence on it. I definitely agree with you on that. I'm glad that it isn't mandatory on any level. Because with you, yes, stuff can be manipulated, things can be changed. Let alone does it carry actual witness level weight in a court of law? I don't know. Oh, something was wrong. Oh, it's inadmissible, even though it would have saved you. So there's more to be. There's other things that are more important to be done than just that, I guess. With the CCW cameras.
So that was the camera one. Then we talked about Animal Farm. Then we talked about, like I said, the tactical quiz. Then we did Dragon's Breath yesterday in the beginning.
I still haven't had a chance to fire any of that. It looks like it might be fun. But it's one of those things, like, I imagine you have to be completely aware of your surroundings with that stuff where things could get out of hand probably pretty quick. I mean, being fire and all.
Well, that's the thing. They shoot out sparks, so they're not really catching things on fire. They're just, I mean, unless they're made out of gasoline that's sitting right in front of it.
Okay. Well, then I misunderstood a little bit.
I mean, at least the ones I've experienced. Anyway, that's what we talked about yesterday, and then the various orders of CCW classes. When we talk about these topics, of course, they're just us kind of riffing on it, and then you get our opinions or whatever, and then the idea is to start. Sorry, I'm trying to type.
To start conversations amongst the audience and them amongst themselves and their peers where they're at to continue the conversation.
Or at the range, or on a podcast or something that they do. So I'm sure you're going to differ with our opinions on stuff, and that's not, we don't do things intentionally to differ with you, but we also try to keep them off the topics of news. So I guess it's a good time, since we have, how many people we have watching anymore? A couple of 20 people watching. Give us some feedback if that's the kind of thing that you're interested in, if you want it to be more timely or something. Obviously, Yankee and Matt talk a lot more about news of the day and their opinions on it, a lot more about guns and buying stuff. And Yankee gets 1,100 people watching him live, or we have 20 people watching us right now. We've been doing this on the regular for at least 300 shows or so. So at some point, we got to admit that there's only going to be about 30 people that watch us on this thing, and it's only going to be that, only going to be.
Did he really get up to 1,100 viewers? Really? Really?
Afternoon, yeah.
Oh, shit.
So, like I say, we're not trying to do something that, we're not trying to suggest that this is more than it is. It's a time to get together and talk about guns, ideally to keep some communication chains open or some communication paths open. But honestly, this is the time to be communicating. Urgency happens, was forced upon us every once in a while when bureaucrats or individuals with money and influence decide to wage war on the Second Amendment or something. But this is really the time when we should be rallying it up. And it's a little bit frustrating to not be growing at a time, because we're doing, I don't know because of why, but we're not growing at a time when really this is when everybody should be championing all those things. The sporting use clause change to lawful use, the Hearing Protection Act, repeal of the Hughes. These are the times when we should be screaming the loudest, really, because it's the easiest time to make headway. So anyway, I don't want to get depressed. It's Friday. I'm going to go eat some breakfast with Bob, figure out what we're going to do for the next week or so. It sounds like Bob's going to borrow a couple of bucks and stay in Tucson for a week at this truck stop or this trailer park over by the truck stop. Since we only got a week, we'll try to get some shooting out of the way. We did bring a lot of guns down here, and get some unfortunately, it's like 1,000 degrees here now. It's going to be 99 tomorrow. So that means we need to get out and shoot early, like as soon as the sun comes up. And Bob that isn't his favorite time.
No, you need to be on your way before the sun comes up. You need to be at the range just before the sun comes up and set up as the sun comes up. That's
pretty much.
That's my opinion on that.
I have not been successful at making that happen, but I will continue to pursue it. So,
well, yeah, I figured you knew what it was because you live out there. You know what that temperature is going to do. It's like the sun. Well, it sounds like it could be a good week, though, G.
Yeah, and Enrique Sonora is here in Tucson. He wanted to meet up with Bob. I don't know about shooting on the weekend, only because since I don't have to shoot on weekends, I don't like shooting on weekends when everybody else has to, because it's really crowded no matter where you go. Where, like I'm saying, if we get up on a Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday morning, ass early, we could be out at a place in the desert and be shooting by the time some of the people that like to sleep in are just rolling out of bed, and get it in when it's comfortable. And actually, there's super good light out there, so it's really good for videoing. And then be back in town for the daytime. I don't really get a chance to, at least at this point, I don't have an opportunity to just go out and play for a day. And I need to be doing things that result in paying the mortgage. So anyway, obviously not every second of my day is like that, but that's why I'm saying we're probably not going to try to do it over the weekend. But maybe we can figure out a way before you go to work or something, or maybe even after. We've also been thinking about doing some kind of a night shoot. I don't think Bob's ever shot at night, he said.
It's probably because he can't see the old coot.
Could be. All right, so we will end it at this point and say thanks everybody for watching and listening. Episode 294. That means we'll be back with episode 295. If there was some way to do the math, or wait, today's 295. Tomorrow will be Monday will be 296. If there is some way to do the math on that, we would know that we're pretty close to that 365 days would be a year, except that we didn't do it on weekends, so we're well past a year now.
Yeah, I think the 260 something was our year.
So this is even a couple months beyond that.
Yep.
This
is about the time when, like either April or May, I think, is when Dano and I joined the fight. I think.
I was going to say this is the time when usually the co-hosts start fighting for who gets the pay raises for the next season. And then the shows either get really good or they break up.
Or they get canceled. Let's see. So it looks like, I think we've all heard this quote before, but are we ready for it? Do we got anything else we want to cover?
I think we're good. We'll see you on Monday.
All right. So again, thanks to everybody out there listening and watching and participating. We always appreciate that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Use those hashtags when you get a chance. Daily Gun Show. So basically, this one right here is from Clint Smith. And again, I think we have had this one recently, but an armed man will kill an unarmed man with monotonous regularity. So everybody have a great weekend out there. Be safe, have fun, and aloha.
Guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching gunwebsites.com.